Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Tiger Football presented by Rib Crib. I'm Charlie Hannama, joined as always by the head coach of the Broken Arrow Tigers, David Alexander. Coach, 5-0, coming off a big 63-7 win over Norman. Homecoming this week against Westmore, and I know homecoming is always a special week here at Broken Arrow.
Homecoming is a great week here in Broken Arrow. It's full of great activities. We get everybody in the school involved, the community involved. Tuesday we're going to get out early for practice. We're going to get done. We're going to go over and walk in the parade, hand out candy to the kids, and we do homecoming parades better than anybody, and our kids really enjoy it. We'll have a bunch of our coaches bring their kids, and they'll all be walking through the parade. And then we'll do our team dinner. We're going to do our team dinner on Wednesday after football practice, and we invite all the homecoming court, both the girls that are nominated and their escorts, and we'll feed them, introduce them, recognize what sport or activity they're recognizing, and then Thursday night's the dance, and Friday's a big football game.
I know, being a Broken Arrow alum yourself, homecoming is always special for you too. I mean, we've got a lot of Broken Arrow folks that come to all the games, but I know just for you leading the team back out there when you're going to have some of your classmates back and just other folks that maybe weren't in your class but you've known forever around here, what does that do for you personally? Well,
it is. It's a lot of fun. Growing up here, I spent my whole life here. My mom and dad still live about a half mile from where I grew up. There's still teachers that are working in the district that were here when I was coming to school here, which is amazing. I'm getting up there in age, but I work so hard for these kids. We're going to meet Tate. We're going to meet a player here in a little bit. We're going to meet Tate Robards. I want them to succeed. I want them to be great people and live in this community and enjoy what I've enjoyed. So coming out and trying to put on a good show for our town and our school is number one on my priority list.
We keep talking about this every week. It seems like Tigers just keep firing on all cylinders. It's a special year so far.
Well, it has been a special year, and we've met some as these shows have gone, and we've met some of these seniors. I think you can see why. This senior group is. They're a special group of young men. And I told our coaches, we walk out, we get out there before the kids come through the tunnel, we put our headsets on, and we're all on there chatting around. I told them we're going to learn a lot about our kids in the first 5 or 6 minutes of that football game. We've played 4 big name opponents, number 1 or number 2 in the state, all 4 of those first games. And now we're playing a team we're decidedly better than. How our kids, are they going to come out ready to play? Man, and they did, didn't they? They came out immediately and wanted to put on a show. Interception on the first play, we go score, and it was on. And that tells you a lot about the character and their mindset of the kids. And getting to 5-0 is special, right? But the special thing for a coach, and you've gotten to really know me really well, Charlie. I live in that 7-day life cycle. Is on that 7th day, are we really playing as well as we're supposed to be playing?
Record-setting performance for the Broken Arrow Tigers Friday night against Norman. Noah Cortez breaks the all-time Broken Arrow school record for rushing touchdowns in a game with 6. He did it all in the first half. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we come back. Tate Robards will join us in our player segment, and we'll look ahead to homecoming against the Westmore Jaguars. Stay with us. This is Broken Arrow Football.
My dad's always saying a little extra effort now will really pay off later. Here's how you can put in just a little extra effort and help out our schools in a big way. Just switch your checking account to TTCU. It's easy. You get $150 just for switching. And every time you use your school pride card, TTCU donates to our schools. So far, over $1 million. They're the only ones doing that. So make the switch to TTCU and be the person who's making a difference for our schools.
The Tigers of 1929 tied for the Oil Valley Conference lead with rival Bixby Spartans. Broken Arrow's only loss coming at the hands of the Spartans, who finished their schedule with 2 ties and no losses. Apparently, Bixby wanted no more of our Tigers that year, as they refused a challenge from Broken Arrow after the season to play off the tie. This great moment in Tiger history is brought to you by First National Bank of Broken Arrow, a loyal fan of our community for over 100 years. First National Bank of Broken Arrow, the right balance.
Inside Tiger Football presented by Rib Crib is brought to you in part by TTCU Federal Credit Union, St. John Broken Arrow, Tulsa Bone and Joint, First National Bank of Broken Arrow, the Arrow Group, and Matthews Ford. Welcome back. Charlie Hanema and Coach Alexander here as we look back at a 63-7 win over the Norman Tigers. Coach, the offense was incredible, but as you mentioned, it started with the defense. Tricky Stokes just ripped that ball away for an interception on the first play.
Incredible play, right? If I'm Norman, I'd do the same thing. The first play of the game, I try to gain some momentum or try to do something crazy and try to throw a ball deep. But Aaron is just too fast for almost everybody we play because he was behind a step or two when the ball was let go by the quarterback, made up that ground, ripped the ball out, set the tone for the game.
He finished with 2 picks on the game, and your offense just incredible. Noah Cortez, we talked about it a little bit in the last segment, but 14 carries, 200 yards, 6 touchdowns, all in the first half.
14 carries for 6 touchdowns. That's the incredible part of it, right? I told Coach Wilkinson we weren't giving him the ball enough. And if you're scoring at that ratio, I mean, I'm obviously kidding a little bit. Noah is he's big and he's physical and he's very, very talented. But he's his biggest asset right now is he's so motivated. He wants to do great for his teammates and his team, and he wants to have some individual success as well. And he is really, really impressive. He's impressive in practice. And the show he put on over there at Norman was incredible. 6 touchdowns and a half. There were 5 or 6 people that were tied for the record with 5 touchdowns in a game, and one of those was our great running back Jamal Shaw a few years ago. But that's a record that will probably stand for a while.
Especially if you put an asterisk by it and said, by the way, all in the first half.
Yeah, 14 carries in the first half.
Yeah, so Cortez for the season, 100 yards rushing, or 100 carries, 714 yards. He's now 695 shy of Jamal Shaw for the all-time record. So you look at first 5 games, 700,
right.
Still needs 700, 5 games left, couple in the playoffs.
Right.
Looks like we could have an all-time leading rusher.
Well, that's Noah's goal, right? When we sit down in preseason, I give them all a goal sheet. I want to know where their team goals are and their personal goals, and he's got a lot of respect for Jamal. He was around. We're watching Jamal Noah's a freshman, and he's watching Jamal play, right? And so he wanted to be Jamal, and to go out there and surpass somebody who he's looked up to for all these years is going to be a big deal for Noah. And it'll be a big deal for our team. Because our whole offense will take pride in that, right? Our offensive line, those guys, and our fullbacks and our tight ends, they will wear that. If Noah can get that, they'll wear that as much as Noah does.
And the offensive line, we've talked about them all year, but they were incredible again. Friday against Norman, it really wasn't even a fair fight. You'd look at some of those touchdowns, and you'd have guards leading Cortez into the end zone 20 yards downfield.
Yeah, we could have handed Thor the football, right?
Yeah.
Thor's our pulling on. He's our left guard. He's our quick guard. He pulls. And so we're letting Rame and Burkhart-Smyer knock him down, and there's nobody for Thor to block. They're all laying on the ground back there, and we could have handed Thor. He could have had a couple touchdowns Friday night.
I can't remember which one it was. It might have been the one that broke the record. Thor seriously was in front of him looking, going, hey, I got to hit somebody, but there's nobody here.
Yeah.
So
they get tired of tackling Noah. Being 207 pounds and as fast as he is, they get tired of tackling him.
One of the stats that just drives me crazy here is you look at the average scoring drive, and by the way, there were 9 of them. Right. 3.1 yards or 3.1 plays per drive. 3, 3, 5, 3, 4, 1, 5, 2, 2. I mean, you scored 63 points, and your longest scoring drive was 5 plays, and you did it twice.
When we came into the out of the tunnel for the second half, and we were getting the ball, and Coach Hill, because we're going to play our starters on both sides of the ball, we're going to play them one series. And then we're going to sub everybody in. So Coach Hill's on the headset. Coach Hill's going, hey, how about a nice little grinded out drive here, burn off 4 or 5 minutes, right? So we get this game going. And of course we hand the ball to Kewan Tolbert the second play of the half, and he goes 80 or something for a big long touchdown. And I told Coach Hill on the headset, I'm sorry, we only burned off 28 seconds. There was 11 minutes and 32 seconds left in the third quarter.
Your starting offense through 5 games has only gone 3 and out 6 times.
Wow.
There are some teams and there are some years where you go 3 and out 6 times in one game.
Right.
And so to start like that, especially when you think about Union, Mansfield, Owasso, Jenks, those defenses.
That's a stat I hadn't heard, Charlie.
Yeah.
That's got me. That's
why I get
wow.
the big bucks, Coach.
That is impressive. And you got to give obviously a lot of people a lot of credit for that. Wow, 6 times in 5 games. You'll win a lot of football games. You know, that's one reason you're 5-0. If your offense is staying on the field, your defense can make adjustments. It helps the whole squad, and that's pretty big telling stat right there.
Yeah, we talked about the scoring drives. Your starters just had 2 third downs all game.
Yeah.
You know, one of them was a sack on 3rd down. That was the drive you didn't score, and then the other one was a 3rd and 1, and Noah busted like a 40-yard touchdown run. So it's all working.
Yeah, I did know we averaged per play in the first half. We averaged over 11 yards a play. So if you're averaging over 11 yards a play, you're not going to get to 3rd down very many times. That's you know, it was a good performance. We did what we were supposed to do, you know, and we talked before the game. Norman is an improved football team. They had won 2 games going in. They were 2-2. They'll win some more games this year. They'll beat some other teams in our district. I think their coaching staff over there's got a good nucleus. They're doing some good things, but you know we're senior laden. We're battle tested. We played some really good football teams, and we were obviously the better football team. Is
experience the biggest difference this year? Because you look at, you know, if you go scoring by quarter, first quarter, Broken Arrow's outscoring opponents 74-14, 63-10 in the second quarter. It seems like last year, you know, you guys were always more of an adjustment team and kind of just try and punch even with them in the first half and then wear them out as the game goes on. But this year, Broken Arrow's really been setting the tone from the opening kickoff. Right.
Well, there's 2 things that I attribute that to. Yes, one is obviously, you know, the kids are mature. They've played in those big games. There's not coming out of tunnel and being wide-eyed. But also having the coordinators, right, being there. They're 2 years in with this group. They understand our kids and what they can do and how they're going to do it. Instead of get into a game, play a little base, play a little safe, see how we're reacting, see what's working, and then go and make some halftime adjustments. So we got 2 great coordinators in Coach Wilkinson on the offense and Coach Hill on the defense. Our kids have been around those guys. They know what to expect. They know what the scheme is. So we're just, you know, we're all a little more comfortable coming out of the tunnel to start the game and really getting after people.
Makes sense to me. Broken Arrow, the clear #1 team in the state of Oklahoma, 5-0, coming off a 63-7 win over Norman last week. We'll take a timeout. Senior quarterback Tate Robards joins us next in our player segment. This is Inside Tiger Football, presented by Rib Crib.
In the folded flag, we see the heavy price of freedom. Nearly 9 out of 10 dependents of America's fallen and disabled soldiers do not qualify for federal scholarship assistance. The Folds of Honor closes that gap, already providing over 10,000 scholarships. Join us in this noble mission. Donate today at foldsofhonor.org. This is your call to duty.
My kids had just recovered from being sick, and I found myself sick. And it was time for me to get the care that I needed, and I didn't want to get the kids out of the house, so I used St. John On Demand.
St. John Clinic On Demand is our innovative 24/7 virtual care clinic. It's accessible from your phone, from a tablet, or from your computer anytime.
I registered for the appointment on my phone and visited with a provider and had a prescription called in for me all within an hour.
So the type of patient that would use this service is someone that has a minor illness. Angela's case is a perfect use of our services. We came to her in her time of need versus her having to come for us.
St. John On Demand is such a great alternative to loading the kids up, getting them to the doctor's office, waiting in the waiting room. So now I'm healthy, my kids are healthy, and I will definitely use St. John On Demand again.
Welcome back to Inside Tiger Football, presented by Rib Crib. Time now for our players segment. This week, joined by senior quarterback Tate Robards. Tate, I know offense just is firing on all cylinders. What's working so well for your guys?
You know, obviously our line, you know, best in the state, I think. You know, it's really makes everything a lot easier when you can fall back on the O-line. Really, everything falls to them. And obviously Noah Cortez is a great running back, breaking school records and everything. And then, you know, our receivers are making plays. big time. And then, you know, the 2 quarterback system's been working out real well for us. So
I know you moved in from Collinsville after last season, so just take me through that adjustment, get to know a new group of guys and a new system, and you know, being 5-0.
When I first moved here, I like really didn't know what to expect really, but like everyone's been everyone like kind of accepted me in really fast. You know, that was a good thing for me. And then coming into football season, you know, just I loved it. Honestly, love every second of it. Every time I'm there, just want to keep being there. And so being 5-0, you know, it's just a great feeling knowing you're playing for the biggest school in Oklahoma and you're 5-0.
People don't always think about spring football when they think about high school. That's kind of more of a college thing. But being able to go through that semester and go through the spring game and stuff with Broken Arrow, what did that do for you going into the summer and then this fall?
Honestly, probably just the biggest thing was just like kind of bonding with my teammates really during spring ball, kind of see how they work, their work ethic during spring going into the summer, and a lot of timing with receivers that helped out. It was a big play in it.
Seems like Coach Tate's really kind of found his stride the last couple games. You know, the Jinx game, he was kind of right on the money, had some touchdown passes, had some big throws there, and then last week, obviously, 7 of 8. Right. Where do you see him growing as the season goes along?
Well, the comfort zone, right? Even though he was here, right, he came in November last year, you know, and being around the kids, and being around the other players, and getting used to what Coach Ellett asked in the weight room, what Coach Alexander asked at practice. You know, that was all a big adjustment period coming from Collinsville. But then, right, to go out first game against, you know, Union, and there's 10,000 people. There's probably more people he'd ever seen in the stadium than all his games prior if you had them all up.
Yeah.
So there's another adjustment period, right? And just growing into that role, understanding 6A football and everything that goes along with that. From the day one he got here, his work ethic was great, and that's what earned him the respect of his teammates. Right? It's just getting him used to what's going on, 6A football, how Coach Alexander handles everything, how Coach Ellett is, and what Coach Wilkinson with the offense is doing. Because our offense is very, very complex for a high school offense. Multiple formations, many personnel groups, and so you have to be smart, right? You got to be a sharp young man to be the quarterback and get all those guys lined up and know where the ball's supposed to go.
Talking with Tate Robard, senior quarterback for the Tigers. Just when you came out of the tunnel for that Union game and it was real, well, take me back to that. What was that like?
I want to hear this answer.
I was just like, wow, that's a lot of people in the stands, you know. But as the game went on, you know, it was kind of weird. Like you kind of forget that people are in the stands and you just kind of play. That's kind of what happened. But at first, I was like, man, there's a lot of people in the stands right now.
You know, one of the things that kind of jumped out to us in the broadcast booth, you know, was that fumble in the Union game because of how you rallied from that. Because, you know, we've seen in the past, you know, Broken Arrow quarterbacks or visiting quarterbacks, you know, something goes wrong and then all of a sudden chaos. But, you know, had that slip up and then I look back to that touchdown pass that you threw where you stepped up in the pocket.
Right.
There's heat all around you, and I think it was Client that you found, or Keller.
Yeah,
Keller. And just to lead the team back from that when sometimes in the past we've seen that go off the rails. That just told us a lot about, you know, how you battle through adversity, and so it's been awesome to watch you grow throughout the year.
Yeah, a lot about his character right there, right? A lot about his belief system in himself, right? And, you know, he learned to trust his teammates. Right? When things kind of go off the rails, it's because you don't really know if you're ready for the moment. You also don't really know if your teammates are ready for that moment. And Tate put in a lot of work with Isaiah Keller and Matt Kaiser and Trayvon Client and that big group, and Logan Matthews and Colton Fair. And we've already mentioned our offensive line. We talk about them every week. It's comforting, and it took a little while for Tate to realize you can stand in that pocket, right? You're not going to get quick pressure with our offensive line. Right? Stand there and trust those big guys because they have performed superbly, right? First half of the season, and they'll continue to do that.
What did you see on that touchdown pass to Keller last week?
Well, last week we had a dig coming across from Dax Wilson, our tight end, and they were playing kind of one high, or like they were playing kind of man. So I knew that safety was going to come down with the dig, and then Isaiah just came wide open. So just delivered the ball. As
a quarterback, it must be, I guess, comforting to know that you've got the offensive line, you've got a tailback like Cortez, and you have receivers to where, you know, the defenses can't really key on anything because you can go a bunch of different ways.
Right, yeah, I feel like for other defenses it's really hard to prepare for us just because of how many things we can do.
It's almost impossible,
Yeah.
right, to prepare for us, right? If you come down in man coverage to try to slow down Noah a little bit, right? Now you've got, not only you have one receiver, but you've got guys on both sides of the formation that can burn you deep. And if you say, okay, they've thrown a couple passes here, and you don't put another guy in the box, it's painful when we hand the ball to Noah.
Yeah.
I know you're in the heat of the moment a lot of times, but do you get a chance to kind of step back and appreciate what Noah's doing on the field? I mean, the average scoring drive last week was 3 plays.
Right.
It's like you hand it to him and he's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are like, don't you want to throw the ball more? And I'm like, I mean, as long as we're winning, like, I don't really care. Like, mindset is just for the team, and that's kind of what we've all been about. So, yeah, it's really comforting knowing that you're winning, and Noah's doing a real good job.
Very cool. Look towards college. I know probably a little early to know where you want to go, but is there something you want to study or you think maybe could end up seeing yourself doing someday?
I think I want to be some type of engineering, probably petroleum.
Okay.
Wow.
Cool. What else do I need to know about Tate, Coach?
Well, if he's going to be an engineer, man, we already talked about this off camera, your math class. Right? If you want to be an engineer, brother, you got to embrace that math, right? I'm an old algebra teacher, but being an engineer, that's big goals. You don't want to be didn't your dad a veterinary doctor?
Yeah, I don't want to be a vet.
No, want to be a veterinary doctor?
No.
Okay.
Well, Tate, we'll let you go. We'll see if you can engineer up a big win on homecoming.
Okay,
Thanks for being here. Tate Robart, senior quarterback for the Tigers. He's getting $25 to Rib Crib for appearing on our Players segment. We'll take a timeout. Coach Alexander and I will be back after this on Inside Tiger Football, presented by Rib Crib.
The 1982 Pride of Broken Arrow Marching Band had a spectacular and rewarding year. Led by senior drum major Paul Gerder and junior drum major Mindy Denton, the Pride and its members practiced relentlessly with the utmost determination and won the sweepstakes of the Midwest Championship in the Colorado Marching Band competition, which was truly a great honor and led many to declare the Pride the grandest band in the land. This great moment in Tiger history is brought to you by First National Bank of Broken Arrow, a loyal fan of our community for over 100 years. First National Bank of Broken Arrow, the right balance.
My name is Abigail Bailey. I was at my yearly checkup when I was 12, and we went and got x-rays, and she diagnosed me with scoliosis and that we needed surgery as soon as possible.
Tulsa Bone and Joint was very compassionate. They took their time with us. They answered questions. He was very encouraging.
Dr. Clark helped me see that there is life after spinal fusion. Just because your spine is fused doesn't mean that you can't do what you love to do.
Final segment here on Inside Tiger Football, presented by Rib Crib. Don't forget, Broken Arrow back at home Friday night for homecoming against Westmore. 7 o'clock kickoff. Tickets are still available. You can get those online at gofan.co/Broken Arrow Tigers. Coach, what do you see for Westmore? They're 4-1 on the year, and every district game matters.
Right, every district game matters. Westmore's a good football team. Coach Lorenzo Williams, a good friend of mine. I've offered him a job a couple times before he got the head job at Westmore. He's a really good football coach. The thing that pops out on film from Westmore is they love Lorenzo. That's why I tried to hire him. They play extremely hard. They may play harder than any, all their players run around the field. They may play harder than anybody we will see in the district. That includes Edmond Santa Fe and some other teams. They really fly around. A very good quarterback again. He's come up with a couple, they had a guy, a really good one last year who graduated. And again, they've got another quarterback. Makes some plays with his arm, likes to throw it around, does some things. They're a spread football team most of the time. An inside receiver who he loves, they must be best friends off the field as well, targets him a bunch. And then a little bit of an unconventional defense. They don't have as big of players, stature-wise, as they had last year. So a little more movement, a little more hard to target, right? They've got guys standing up. They only got 2 guys with their hands on the ground most of the time, which is a little unconventional. So we'll tighten up our splits and make sure we get targeted right. But it'll be a really fun environment Friday night against a good football team.
Past couple of years, it seems like Westmore's MO has sort of been aggressive, if almost not risky. You know, a lot of sellout blitzes, a lot of deep shots on offense, and either they hit or they don't. But that's a wrinkle that you don't always see.
That's right. That's a great point. Right, a little risky, and that's kind of what we see as well. They're going to take some chances. Defensively, they'll leave a couple guys uncovered, try to get to your quarterback and get a big play, right? Get a big sack fumble. Try to stop the running back in the backfield with a blitz before he gets going. Again, same thing on offense. They'll try to just protect with 5 offensive linemen, no tight end or no back, or just protect with 5. And sometimes their quarterback takes some hits, but they're trying to get as many guys in the route as they can, chunk it over the top, try to get big plays and score fast. And you know, obviously their kids love it, right? They love the way they're practicing, they love the way they're playing, and so Lorenzo's just rolling with it.
Got about a minute left here on the show. What do you try and tell your guys to focus on? What do you try and clean up? Because I know even though big win, 5-0, there's always things.
Well, we'll talk about 2 things. First, homecoming week, right? A lot of distractions. So as coaches, we're like, man, you know, we got the parade, we got the dance, we've got dinner and all this stuff. So hey, right, let's all go do all that and let's enjoy it and have memories for our lifetime. But let's focus up, right? Number 1 priority is winning the football game. And then 2, who are we, right? You have set the bar, football team, right, of who you are and what the expectation level is. Keep putting that on film of how good a football team you are.
All right, Coach Alexander, good luck Friday night.
Appreciate it, Charlie.
That's David Alexander. For our producer, Sean Hill, our crew, Terry Sprider and Greg Spencer, and all of our ArrowVision cast of thousands behind the scene. This is Charlie Hannah saying good night from Broken Arrow.